Hi, this is Sue from the Mount Canary Company. This is part 2 of how we set up our Britchen for our riding saddles. Go ahead, Ed.
Thank you, dear. Hi, folks. Well, this was no intention. I had no intention of doing 2 parts on this. But, you know, I posted that video yesterday, number 51, on YouTube. And as I went through it, as I did it, I realized there was a lot of stuff I'd like to have said. Not a great amount of stuff, but things in there I think might have been very interesting to you. So we're going to go after that again today. So first off, let's talk a little bit about what we've got here. What we have here is a holdback system. The system here is designed to hold the riding saddle in the position it should be for traveling mostly downhill. You don't need a Britchen for going flat land across country, but you sure need one for going downhill. One thing I want to warn you is about, first off, if you get this unbalanced and you pull too much when you're going down here, pull too far back on your Britchen, in other words, too tight, you've got a problem up here. And the problem is right here in this part of the saddle. This part of the saddle flares out, and it fits across the part of her back here that is narrow, okay? And if this part of the saddle gets pulled too far back, out of the pocket, too far, her back goes from narrow to wide. Well, this is narrow, and the wide part of the tree is back here. So if you pull it off of if you pull the narrow part off of the narrow part of her back and put it on the wide part, the saddle becomes extremely unstable. And you'll work back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so what you've done is you've taken a saddle tree that fit, moved it back, and made it a saddle tree that didn't fit. So you're gonna have discomfort for her, and I promise you discomfort for you as you ride along, trying to jerk that saddle back in place. A lot of times a jerking saddle means a couple things. One, it means that you've done something like this. You've pulled it back and held it back out of the pocket, or you've got too thick a saddle pad which lifts it up off of her back. And that'll do the same thing. It'll put the wedge high part of the fork and the gullet up and moves it slightly back. It changes this whole thing. In other words, it raises up and makes it round, and you can't hardly stay on that thing. Okay, that's enough of that. We'll get more of that some other day. But let's go back to here again. What I'd like to have Sue do is come over here and take a good view of this whole type of setup in here, as I explained something. This system is a system to develop a way of holding back with the least amount of wear and tear. So what we've done here is, if you look carefully, I didn't make this that clear yesterday. If you look carefully, you'll see that this holdback comes back here, and that's an anchor point for it. That's why we want to make sure we get it in the right place. We get too far up here, it goes forward. There's no holdback. The angle of these is wrong. So these straps, this one particularly, followed by this one, and the Britchen, make a cup, somewhat of a cup arrangement that will grab around her butt. Rather than just holding on to one point, it actually tends to cup her whole butt. So this whole part, it's not just this strap holding her back. It's these straps and this strap holding the saddle back. So when you're doing this, the difference between this and you're putting less pressure on all different parts. This is probably going to get you the most pressure because of the way it's designed. But when you get down the road, you'll realize that there's pressure on all these parts. And as you go along at times, this strap will pop, will move back and forth. As she moves back and forth, it'll pop, but it'll come back tight again. So the difference between this and what they call a crupper, we used cruppers for several years and took a reasonable dislike to it. We had a couple animals that really tended to be crow hoppy and looked under and wondered why. The thing is that all that pressure then is underneath her tail. Give. Underneath here. Take a look at that tissue. There's no long hair. There's no protection to it. There's no protection on her on her tail, or it comes up into here. There's no protection. Now, cruppers have been used forever. The military used them on all their pack saddles. All the old apparero saddles had them on. But if you get into the packing manuals, you'll find one of the things they warn is that the packmaster is going to have to know how to deal with proud flesh. And what happens with those old cruppers is they develop so much proud flesh under the tail that they'd actually have to go in and physically cut the proud flesh off. Then they'd doctor the tail and turn the critter out in the pasture until that healed up. In other words, there's could be a lot of wear and tear on their tail, and I don't need any part of it. It only holds back right here. So right here you can see how much less pressure I'm putting around, and definitely not on any delicate tissue. This is a muscular leg, hair, lots of stuff to be sacrificial if it starts to wear on her. So that's why we're not using cruppers. In fact, I've used them for years, did away with them. Used them for about 3-4 years, and did away with them completely. I don't even have one here to show you. Okay, let me think here. If I had anything else I wanted to mention to you, let's see. I don't think so. I think I covered pretty much the things I was worried I missed with you.
Yesterday, I didn't get a picture of you telling them how tight to put the Britchen on in the back. 2 hands in there. So I want to get a good picture of that.
Okay. So basically right here, 2 fingers. You see how my fingers are in here? Okay. That's the place to start. Now right now she's moving around. She's got more pressure. Okay. See where my fingers are? Okay, you got it? See, look at this hand over here. Come over my shoulder and take it. So both hands should look put my hands in there. They should be just about like this, see? Not real tight. Then when they step back, this one will get loose. This one will tighten up. You go back and forth, tighten, loose, tighten, loose. And as they tighten, when you walk behind them, put your hand in here and feel it. It shouldn't be so tight until that it gets hard. Now they start going down a steep hill, that'll tighten up as this saddle moves forward. Okay? Now let me think. Darla's not minding this at all. She gets lots of extra attention. The girls out in the bar go smell her breath and see if she got a treat. Usually she has. And okay, now if you got any questions about this stuff, do not hesitate to call me. I've tried to make this as clear as possible. How this system came about wasn't just that every winter we'd bring the animals in at the end of winter, and we'd put all the pack gear on, go through and check and make sure everything fit, and then we'd be filling with it. But one day Sue came up with this formula. She was kind of amazing that way. She came up with this formula, and by golly, that it would work for us. Several years, we were doing great with it. Then I decided to buy a VCR tape on how to rig a animal for pulling, and in that they had the formula for how to set up a crupper, and there it was exactly.
Not a crupper.
I mean, it's going to be a Britchen, and there it was exactly the same as Sue figured out. So you see, folks, I'm just lucky. I was married to a genius. Okay, thank you all very much. Again, remember, any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. We're more than willing to talk to you. More than willing to help you work through it. But as always, anything we tell you is our way of doing it. If you got a better way, or you think you have a better way, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm showing you a way that works for us. You can start here and figure it out for yourself after that. I'm not judging anything. Okay, it's okay. Now remember, ride as often as you can, but please, please, please do ride safe. We'll see you, folks.